Ready? Episode number 2. Rolling. Okay. So, welcome to our second episode of the podcast, or it's a bit much, isn't it?
Or what?
If you're watching on YouTube, hey, because you can see us.
Yeah. Hey.
Look at you. A bit more upbeat this time. Serotonin levels
There's been
are
no
high.
tears this time. Thank God.
I just got back from a week in Ubud, so if I levitate
You're
off this
floating.
couch, please don't be concerned. It's natural. But yes, I feel like I've gone on a whole in 1 week
Transition,
really,
really,
yeah. Like spends 1 week in Ubud, comes back but it was
She walks
really,
around her feet now as well.
yeah. It was really insane, really, really good. I need to make an itinerary for anyone who wants to come, who comes to Bali and wants to do like a Ubud cleanse thing. HMU, I got you. Okay, so today we're gonna try actually is a good word because we're kind of winging it.
Yeah, we are.
Gonna try to talk about getting out of like your egotistical mind and like your limiting beliefs and negative thoughts and into how to feel good. And then when you feel good, obviously you make better decisions, you just feel better in yourself.
You're not constantly in a state of fear.
Yeah, or stress.
Yeah.
So today we're gonna try give our
What we do anyway.
our
Unsolicited advice.
unsolicited advice from 2 life coaches. No. And how we think that it works for us and you can do it.
Yeah.
Basically, why do we have negative thoughts, Orna?
Childhood,
Instagram.
social media, like we can see something that society accepts as like normal. And then if we don't think we look like that or we don't look like that, we then place them standards on ourselves and internalize that, and then in turn produce like negative thoughts or
they're like habitual thinking.
yeah.
Like one day that you thought that thought, then your mind came and looked for reasons to prove it true. Then you realized you found a reason to prove it true, just I don't know, however, and then you started to think that way all the time, and then it becomes
a habit.
Yeah. And then a habit.
It's a cycle of thinking, and like you try break that, and like your body takes over. Your body keeps producing that
exactly.
same cycle.
When something becomes a habit, it's because your body has remembered how to do it more greater than your mind has.
It's like when you're driving.
Yeah, exactly. Like driving a car. Like you don't really think, you're mindlessly driving the car. Your mind is not engaged. Like you do the gears on your own. You do the indicator. Like how much of the time when you're driving to work do you think about loads of other thoughts in your mind?
It's actually quite dangerous. Like
to be honest, you're actually asleep behind the wheel. Wake up, people.
I actually drove, so we moved out of our old villa, a few months ago, and I was driving that aimlessly, like not present, that I actually drove to my old villa.
Yeah, and you don't even.
And I was like, why am I here? So it just shows you can literally just be stuck in your head the whole time.
And also then like if they're learned from childhood or childhood trauma, your parents would tell you something, and obviously when you're a child you believe everything your parents say, so then you take it up as true, and then you can bring it into your adult life. And then also as a form of protection, sometimes we have these negative thoughts because we are trying to predict and
the next outcome. I feel like it's actually like a evolution thing.
Yeah,
really,
so like if you have been in a relationship where you've been hurt before, and
you could like self-sabotage.
Yeah, you've been hurt before. You see similar patterns in your next partner, and then you start to make up all these like your negative thoughts, and then you start to make up all these scenarios, and then to protect yourself, you'll try like
maybe end it,
or all of these negative thoughts that the reality isn't even happening. You're just going off what you're thinking about, and then because you're trying to protect yourself from past hurt, like learned behaviors.
It's just in your head.
Are we making sense? I freaking hope so.
We could just be rambling again.
Yeah, that's why they can come about. Like childhood traumas, learned behavior, society. Yeah, just like your own belief system and like the habits of thinking the same thought over and over again. It becomes instilled in your beliefs.
Yeah. And also when you think about these negative beliefs you have, or like negative thoughts come up, you can either go 2 ways. You can get angry at yourself, and I feel like that puts fuel on the fire, and then you just go off on a massive tangent of just negative thinking, or you can approach yourself with compassion and be like, okay, well, this is obviously coming up for a reason because it's something I need to deal with.
You can even go from that first mindset that you talk about to the second one. It's like a transition. So a lot of the time this has happened to people where they've come to Bali and then they start thinking in this negative mindset, or like it brings things up and they like beat themselves up for thinking this way and think like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking like this, or like I live in Bali, blah blah, and then it just makes you feel worse because you feel guilty then for like having these thoughts. But and then like you go into like another cycle of thinking negatively and making yourself feel worse, so it brings up worse emotions, and then you become this, people might see you as moody because you're like, you explain these emotions, and then people think then if you continuously doing this, it becomes like a personality or a temperament. So you can transition into the other one by saying, okay,
approaching with compassion.
Yeah, approaching it with compassion. Like, this negative thought is coming up for me a lot lately, or you're getting triggered by like something someone does. It's obviously coming up for a reason. So you can, if you're self-aware enough, you can take this negative thought and okay, what is, why am I feeling like this? You can practice, why does this bother me?
Yeah, you can practice self-awareness by meditating as well.
Yeah, so how can people meditate? What is it?
Well, I do. I just do guided meditations on YouTube, or Sinead Hegg's meditation course.
Yeah, it's 21 days meditation.
Plug.
But also really when you're meditating, people think it's sitting down and like having this, like sitting down and just thinking about nothing. Our brains do not stop thinking.
No, I don't. Yeah, I agree.
Thinking is, you can't think about a white wall, because even if you're thinking about a white wall, you're still thinking about a white wall. It's not, there's no such thing as nothing. Even when you're going to say, I'm going to do nothing, you're still going to lie in your bed and go on your phone.
You're going to do something.
You're doing something.
And then you drive yourself insane trying to get to that point. You're like, okay, well, I'm still thinking. Like, oh my God, no, stop thinking.
Yeah.
But you're still thinking. You're ruining the whole, like, 10 minutes of what you're doing or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Because you could be in a, I don't know. I know when you go into, like, a stare or something, you know, when you're just staring blankly, I feel like I'm still thinking. I'm like, right, what do I have to do today? Like, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's not... The aim of meditation isn't to stop thinking.
The aim is to observe your thoughts, like passing traffic, or
and separate yourself from them.
Yeah, so
like you are not your thoughts. Yeah, sorry.
Should that be tattoo that we get? You're not your thoughts.
Yeah.
The practice of meditation, to strengthen meditation, is literally like, know that you're having these thoughts and just watch them go by, like you would passing clouds. Like, how you strengthen meditation is by realizing, like, okay, I'm having this thought, and like, yeah, like you said, detaching yourself from your thoughts.
Like, you're not that thing.
So the act of meditation is not sitting there thinking nothing. It's the act of, okay, realizing, okay, I'm having this thought, I'm gonna, like, sometimes you can go into a stare and come back and you're like, wow, I just had a massive tangent of thoughts. But even that act of self-awareness, realization, like, okay, wow, I've just went off on one for about however long, is self-awareness, and that's nearly an act of meditating. Like, and then I think
meditating doesn't have to be, like, everybody thinks meditating has to be sitting down following your breath, or doing a meditation, like a one on YouTube, whatever it is, Spotify. But you can actually be on a walk,
just being like present,
in the moment. That's something I need to work on.
I think, like, when you're fully present, it's like just having gratitude for, like...
You're an expert at this now. You came back and just become this monk. I'm shook, honestly. I need some of this.
So, like, when I meditate, like, I just... Oh, God, the word like is coming back. Jeez, we've had a like...
You just noticed it there. It's actually been for a while.
Self-awareness.
Yeah.
So when you meditate, like... when I meditate, how I like to meditate is... Okay, people like to focus on the breath because you can become aware of it, but I also like to focus on, like, how I can feel, like, my pulse in my hands. I'm doing it right now. Or...
I'll feel it.
You'll get there, don't worry. Or...
I need to go to Ubud.
You know, feeling like your body part on, like, if you're sitting on a chair, like, you know, really bringing your attention to that part of the body. Like, I'm doing it right now, like my legs on the cushion, or like the texture of the cushion underneath me, or like my elbow on this chair. And that's all, like, being fully present, because you're going from your head into your body to feel that
or sometimes
texture.
what I like to do, if I'm not meditating, sitting down on a walk, I always go, right, if I find that I'm too much in my head, I'll go, okay, we're gonna see 5 things, and I'm like, about that branch on the ground, the ice cream wrappers,
litter,
seeing 5 things, hearing 5 things, and I don't want to touch 5 things, so I like touch 3, and I even count 3, sorry, 3. I
Just
even
3
count like my foot on the sand or on the ground is 1. And then I could even like touch my bag strap if I'm not arsed to go find something to touch. You know, it just brings you back to that moment that you're in.
Yeah, and then
like that's all you have.
And even though you're thinking about your breath, you're thinking about your elbow on the chair. You're not thinking about what you're gonna have for dinner. You're not thinking about yesterday's worries, or you're thinking about the present moment right now. And in the present moment right now, and it's so cliche and everyone says it, but there is no worry unless your leg is literally falling off, or
that's what I heard on the podcast with Stephen Bartlett, and Mo got it, and it just struck me. And he was like, if you were listening to this podcast right now,
and you're like fully, and
you're
your full attention's with us.
Yeah, like you.
Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, you don't have anything to worry about in this moment in time. Not that we're not saying in your life in general, but in that moment.
Yeah, and then for like what makes my meditation even better is like gratitude, and then thinking like lovely thoughts. So gratitude brings thinking lovely thoughts for me, and that is meditation for me. It's just thinking lovely thoughts and getting myself in a high vibration. So like then when I'm in the meditation, I'm like, oh, isn't this so amazing that I have time to take like 10 minutes or whatever long and my day to just sit here and like be present, like I explained before, or like I will think about like someone I really appreciate or like really love, my mom or something, and like think about like how a hug from her feels, like especially important to me now because I can't hug her because she lives far away, or like, and that just brings like a really like warm loving feeling all over my body, and then that makes me feel better. And or like if I have like an issue with somebody, some beef, that I don't have beef with anyone, but if I did, I would think like loving thoughts towards them, or try to pick out some good qualities in them to like like loving kindness meditations, and that makes me feel better. And then I just have lovely thoughts, and like to me meditation is just like feeling like having lovely thoughts, which brings out lovely emotion in my body. And then it's like 3 stages, like.
And like people, I know sometimes if I try to meditate every day in the morning when I'm free, or like when I first wake up, because it just like sets me up for a good day. But sometimes I'm like, right now I don't have time, I have too much to do. But that's the very day that you should meditate, because
Even on
you're
the bus,
going to be in your head so much then, and it's not a vibe. Just don't do it. Honestly, I missed my meditation this morning. I can feel it.
And even like on the bus to work, like
you do have time, like 5 minutes. Come on, 2
yeah,
minutes.
but like, and like we said, meditation always not to be sitting on the ground with your legs crossed and your hands in, a mudra or in prayer position. It can just be like walking to the bus stop, like think about your feet crunching the leaves on the ground, or like the wind, like just really come present and think of the wind like touching your skin, or like absolutely just feel
anything,
the present moment. And most of the time then when you're in that present moment, you don't have time to think, like we said, don't have time to think about your worries yesterday, so it nearly brings your vibration up anyway, because you're like, for that split second you have a break from your own mind, especially if you have a very chatty mind, or you do have problems going on, or like stress about work. For that like 10 seconds you're thinking about the wind in your face, it gives you like that mini break of
interrupting that
life,
like also interrupting them thought patterns we were speaking about earlier.
And then exactly how we got into meditation tangent.
You become aware.
So then
helps with self-awareness, which is what we were on to.
And then you break that thought pattern of the negative cycle of thinking for 10 seconds even, and it gives you a break, and then you realize, okay, well, this is,
and you were thinking that way rather than just like being consumed by your thoughts. But how else? Journaling to challenge your thoughts.
So that was, we went off a bit of a tangent there about meditation, but it just, and like you hear all the time and you're like, oh, how is meditation, how do people like it? But it's only when like you really need it and then you do it, you're like, wow, like it's like a massage when you have a sore muscle.
And it's not just like a spiritual thing, like it's
like
anybody can do it.
And if you look at like the most successful people like in the world, the majority of them, what the common denominator is in their life is meditation. Yeah, and I think people just, like I said, have it, like,
It's just overlooked
a different
as well,
perception of it. Like
if you
Mahatma
told Dad to
Gandhi
meditate,
or
what would he
something.
do? Well, yes,
Maybe
maybe
probably
he'd
fall
meditate.
asleep. Do you know?
He could
Like, that's
meditate
my
on his walk or
meditation.
something, you know.
But yeah, just meditation is coming back, being fully present in the moment. And we've given the examples, but also so also to break negative thought patterns.
Journaling, definitely journaling. That's like something I find it so helpful. I've done it since I'm 19. My auntie got me this lovely journal. She gave it to me, and at the time I was like, oh, what am I gonna write about? Like, I don't care.
Dear diary.
Yeah, I was like, there's nothing in my head. I don't want to do this. But it started literally me being like, today I went out with my 2 friends. Then we went to Liffey Valley. Do you know what I mean? It was simple, but it was just getting into the habit of doing it. And then eventually, if I had awareness of my thoughts or felt upset or felt down or whatever, I'd journal it out. And it just made me rationalise my thinking. It really helps to do that. And now it's just a habit that I do every day, and it's just part of my morning routine, my daily routine. And I find it so helpful.
Yeah, because like you said there, it's rationalising your thinking. So sometimes we're so consumed by our own thoughts, and we drive ourselves crazy, and we're thinking the same cycle and cycle and cycle. And sometimes when we get it onto paper, it's like giving it a different perspective.
Yeah, you look at it objectively.
Yeah, like you literally have a bird's eye view of your thoughts on paper, and sometimes you can be like,
and you're like, oh my god,
wow.
Is this actually in my head?
If someone could read this, I would literally be arrested.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just, like rationalising them. Some people like to journal, some people like to speak out loud.
Yeah.
And journaling is good though, because you can look back then when you've, had a period in your life and be like, wow, I've grown so much, and it really gives you like a proud of yourself and an appreciation of yourself. And like if you're going through another hard time, you can be like, okay, well, if I got through that time back.
And it's even nice because you journal about the achievements that you've done, and you look back and you mightn't think that you've achieved anything, which a lot of us don't, and then you look back at your little wins and you're like, oh my god, and it helps you, and that gives you more confidence.
Also then getting it down on paper, like clearing it out of your mind, almost like looking back and seeing what you've achieved, like almost raises your vibration again, which makes you like feel good. And then when you feel good, you make good choices, attract good people into your life, see opportunities better, deal with shitty situations better. So like it's all about feeling good. You can, like, journaling is another feel good thing to do, but
journal meditation,
some good like journal prompts, like what we could do is like that, like, dear diary, today I blah 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 blah, someone pissed me off, whatever, like literally it's your own thoughts. Like no one's actually gonna read your journal, so like you can write anything you want in that. And then
so many people don't journal as well because they think they have to journal a specific way. Like there's no real book on how to journal. It's whatever you're thinking, put it on the page in whatever order you want.
And then what I like to do as well is like clear my brain out onto this paper, and then I like to also write about what I'm grateful for. And I like to journal in the morning, so it starts my day off right. Some people like to journal at night time, so they go to bed with nice thoughts, have a good sleep. There's no like, it's just
wrong.
I like to do both. Sometimes when I was in Ubud, I was journaling 4 or 5 times a day about like, just because I was sitting myself for 6 days.
Probably getting so many epiphanies.
I was sitting on myself I had no one to talk to for 6 days, and I was just like talking to myself in my journal. But also I like to write gratitude, like not just like I am grateful for it. I like to actually feel grateful for it, because
there's a difference.
You have to feel the feeling of gratitude, and we all know that feels like, if we think of like someone now that we're really grateful for, like, and even if you can't think of, like, you can't like feel the feeling of it, what would your life be like without that person, or without that thing? And then you realize, okay, actually, wow, my life would not be good. So then it helps you feel gratitude for it. But feeling great, writing down what you're grateful for.
Small as like your coffee. I swear that's like one of mine every morning, because it just makes me
day. Same. Me too. I love my coffee.
Yeah.
Wow, I love it.
Anomaly.
Shout out to you, Anomaly. And then I also like to write about one thing I like about myself every day. And like either it can be personality wise or physical appearance.
Just boost your confidence. Like I used to do that for a while, and then I stopped doing it.
Because it helps you show compassion towards yourself. Like,
you're so quick to notice what you like in other people, but isn't it, if someone asks you what you like about yourself, it'll be so hard to think of something. But if they ask you what you hate about yourself, what you dislike about yourself, you're like, this, you're listing off like 10 different things.
So I like to write about what I like about myself, and sometimes it can be really hard, and like sometimes it can be very small, like my eyelashes look long today. Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm struggling like that much. But like, I think it's important that we all like write about one thing we like about ourselves, because like compassion to yourself is just like a recipe to more like you
more
won't,
fulfilled life, and
yeah, and you won't have as much
self-love.
like, yeah, like you come at yourself, then we have those negative thoughts we were speaking about earlier. You're not gonna be you're not as angry about yourself. You're not not as angry towards yourself. If you have compassion for yourself, you'll have compassion for so many other people. Like, we always kind of feel like when you're intolerant of yourself,
you kind of project that outwards.
Or when you're in a bad mood with yourself, or like you're annoyed that you don't look well, or you don't think that you're pretty, then you kind of take out on other people, like, you know, like insecurities and stuff. Usually when someone comments about someone else or makes a negative comment about someone else, it's usually because they're hurting
they
inside.
wish they could do it, or they're jealous of maybe that person's confidence.
We all know that, or maybe we all don't know, but it's all good to remember that hurt people. So people who are hurting on the inside usually, and that are not self-aware, they usually go and take it out on the people and hurt them too.
Yeah, so you can also come at them people from a place of compassion, if you're self-aware, instead of being like, oh, that person's a this or whatever, like, understand.
But then it all starts with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk to you.
Are we just listening quotes?
It all starts with you. So when you have compassion for yourself, it's easier to have compassion for other people,
and that's by showing like gratitude
so like journaling tips 101. Journal about your day. Do your diary. Who gives a shit about what you write, because it's your journal.
You can write anything.
Number 2, what you're grateful for, because it raises your vibration, makes you feel good. And number 3, write about at least one thing you like about yourself. If you can write 10 things what you like about yourself every day, wow.
Do it, yeah.
Please mail us on Instagram and let me know how you can do that, because I would love to. And then, how else can you break the cycle? Challenge your thoughts. Well, not everything you think is true. So every single thought that you have.
And I feel like when like speaking to people as well really helps. Like, I was worried about something on the weekend, just constantly having the same thought in my head, and then I was like, oh, when I say
you
it to Avian,
smile at me if I know.
You do know? Oh well, I'll tell you in a minute. You'll know in a minute. I was like, will I say it to Avian? I was like, no, I won't. Like, will I? No, remember in the beach, I said, like, in the water, I was like, oh, I keep thinking this, and you do know, and you're like, I don't. Yeah. But I like to keep my feelings to myself. Not like, I mean, it's just a learned behaviour. It's not great. I'm not condoning this. Don't do it. But when you speak to people, it helps you get that thought out of your head and be like, oh my god, am I actually thinking this?
Yeah, it's like journaling.
And then you get that person's response, and you see that it's not as scary as you think it is. It's not as bad as you think it is. Like, it just helps you rationalise.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and so that's what breaking negative thought patterns is all about, like rationalising your thoughts. And we can rationalise our thoughts too, speaking
You're
to
my
people.
rational brain sometimes, I'm yours.
Yeah, speaking to people, journaling it, like, it's all about challenging them, like, okay, when you're self-aware enough and you realise, you come out of that cloud of like, oh god, I was just on a tangent there. Like, what was I thinking about then? I'm like, is that actually true? I'm like, most of the time, no.
Yeah.
And like
just stopping that. And once you stop that, each time you stop it, that will become the habit.
Yeah.
And then you won't do it anymore.
It's like a muscle, like strengthening a muscle.
Yeah, muscle memory.
So yeah, like we said, come back to earlier, like, don't beat yourself up over it.
Because we do that a lot of the time, yeah.
Be like, okay, wow, that was really good self-awareness. Like, look at me go. I'm growing, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then just book yourself a trip to Ubud for 6 days on your own and have a great time. To break negative thought patterns, you can do stuff like that raises your vibration. So if you enjoy... But again, all that stuff, if you like to go out for a run, go play tennis, go see a movie, all that is like bringing you back to the present moment. When you go to the gym, like, you're present, you're thinking about lifting up the weight, counting your reps, so you don't have time to think about those negative thoughts. So you're breaking the pattern by like physically doing stuff and being in the present moment again.
Doing changes the thinking, thinking changes the being.
Yes. So by doing something, you're changing your thinking, and by thinking, you're changing your state of being.
Yeah. Or
like, you're changing your emotions, which change then eventually who you are.
Yeah, and your physiology as well, because then you're not thinking in a high stress state all the time, like cortisol floating around your body, you're more calm, changes everything, your physiology.
Yeah, and that's not to say like distract yourself and run away from your thoughts and do everything, but like by getting them like on paper, talking to people about them, you know, analysing them yourself from like a different perspective, or meditating on them, like when you can watch them go by, that's all processing them. So you're not pushing them down or anything, you're processing them.
You're dealing with them.
You're dealing with them there and then. And that's like where what a lot of people don't do is they run from their thoughts. They don't deal with them there and
they
then.
never disappear either.
Yeah, they'll just come back, or like they'll come back in like a relationship that like, you know,
triggers in the form of triggers. Really,
yeah,
exactly. Everything will trigger you probably. In relationship,
anything like the
person could say something to you. Yeah,
person behind the desk could be like,
"Have a nice day." And you're like, "Have a nice day."
You're like, "Have a nice day." Excuse me. Like, you know, so.
Deal with your
shit, or it will deal with you.
Yeah, even in like physical form.
Yeah, like illness and stuff. Like we all know, we're like.
Topic for another day.
Yeah, that's another whole other topic.
Yeah,
as like negative thoughts manifesting in physical illness. You could go off on one on that, but anyway, it's okay to have negative thoughts.
Yeah, you're human. Like you're not. What is it? Toxic positivity. Like you can't go about your day like I'm having a great day if you feel like shit inside, because then. You're just lying to yourself and you're making yourself feel worse.
Yeah,
you
and you know, like, at the end of the day, like, you are the one that has to live with yourself. Like, you know deep down, like, you can only trick yourself for so long and stuff, you know?
That's true. 100%.
So, yeah, you are human. It's okay to have, like, negative thoughts.
A chatty mind.
Like, okay. And there's going to be days where, like, you try all this stuff. You go through this whole list that we've just listed off and nothing's working for you, and that's okay as well. You know what I mean? You just have to
cry, like whatever.
Yeah.
Like we sound like such like teachers right now, but there's days where we're like, like the last day, we didn't feel so good.
The last like 3 months, like the whole start of this year, I literally was going through like just such a rocky patch, and it's only when I was like really like got to this pain threshold where I couldn't take the physical pain of like feeling like this anymore. Like every day I just wake up and like look for something, and
stuff started happening
in a bad way, and stuff started happening to me. Like I got robbed like 4 times in a week, 3 times in a week. Is that possible? Like,
you don't laugh, you'll cry.
Yeah, so. I got like, because I was in a negative thought pattern like for months, like 3 months, like, and people like probably look at my Instagram and my life online and be like, wow, this girl, like I was literally going through the shit, like, but my own mind was, no one was actually physically doing this to me, like just some things had happened, and I just constantly thought about them every day and took them, took them personal, and then like,
which is okay,
and got wrapped up in my own negative way of thinking. It became like a temperament, it became nearly a personality, and then I started like attracting these negative situations into my life, like getting robbed 3 times in 1 week.
You didn't track that.
As in,
drew the straw.
Well, I don't know, manifestation or not, like whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was only when I like literally was waking up every day and like nearly like.
But it's good because it forces you to do something about it.
Looking for something to be angry about. Just waking up in a bad mood because I went to bed in a bad mood. Didn't do anything. I just said. My mom was saying absolutely not. So I decided to do something about it. Whisked myself off to Ubud.
And now you're in like a completely different place. So you came back and I was like, we went for coffee that morning and I was like, sorry, like, what happened? But it's great.
Even probably if you watch the last video and then watch this one.
Yeah.
Went up to Ubud for 6 days, sat with myself, like I said, didn't speak to anybody. Like 2 of my friends came up and we went for dinner, but that was on like the 5th day. So like for the first like 4 days, I literally only spoke to like the staff of like the hotel that I was staying in. I went to the place called the Yoga Barn in Ubud, would a million times recommend it.
Yeah, I want to go.
It's like basically what I did was I did like yoga and meditation, like 3 or 4 hours of it a day, and then like when I wasn't on it, I was trying not to be on my phone, and I was just sitting with my thoughts, and like for the first like 2 or 3 days I was driving myself mad. Like why am I saying sorry to my microphone? I just hit it. I couldn't believe that like I was thinking these thoughts and I was just driving myself mad. And it's only when I kind of started, like, it's like a crying baby, like the baby cried and cried and cried and cried, and then eventually it stopped, and I was like, wow. And how I got myself into that state in the first place was because I was always running from my thoughts, never dealing with it.
Yeah, distracting yourself in Selma every day.
Distracting myself. I was training 4 hours a day, like in the gym, so I like didn't think about it. I was, I mean,
it would still always be there in the back of your mind.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't think about it.
When you weren't distracted anymore, you were like, right, who wants to go for dinner, guys?
Everyone in a group chat, anyone want to go for coffee, like wouldn't want to be on my own ever, because I knew what was going to come up. And then, I went to Ubud, sat myself, did meditation, did like healing. Like I didn't just go up there and sit myself and rock back and forth. Like I worked through my shit, like did meditation, did sound healing, journaled 4 or 5 times a day, read a book, Joe
Breathwork.
Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit Being Yourself, which is 10 out of 10,
10 out of 10,
recommend.
yeah.
You've read it?
I've read it as well, yeah.
Yeah, I did breathwork.
Transformed me.
Like, so I put in the active steps to make myself feel better.
At the start, I mean, we all victimize ourselves and be like, oh, why me, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's normal, I'm not saying that. But you then chose to do something about it. Like, you chose to go there and
exactly.
fix your life.
Yeah, and like even when I was like leaving the gym for like 6 days, I was like, oh my god, how am I gonna cope? Like, not exercising.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm completely healed. It's just like how I feel
It's
so much better, to be honest. And like now
Yeah.
I've gone back in my usual environment where all these thoughts were before.
Yeah.
And like I'm just.
I feel like it's more difficult to break that when you're in the same environment. I found it anyway at the start of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Like I take myself off out of the place.
I did it, and I was like going to the same coffee shop every morning, getting the same order, doing my same routine. I found it more difficult. It did take more time, but
yeah, so it does help when you can get
yeah.
yourself out of the current environment that is that you feel
so
bad
just book
in.
a one-way flight, really, is what we're telling you to do.
Yeah, just take yourself to Ubud, Bali.
And your environment definitely does trigger you as well.
Yeah, so then I came back to Canggu and instilling what I've like talked about and learned up in Ubud, like here. So like been meditating every day, still journaling, still making time to read, making time to journal, like doing yoga
being
classes
aware
here.
Of, you're still aware of your
yeah,
thoughts
like when
as
I'm
well.
on when I'm
And
driving.
you're even like having like an influence on me, because I could forget about all this, and then we go for coffee in the morning or whatever, and you'd be like, oh, I noticed this tree while I was driving here, and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna notice some trees now.
Yeah, so now and also like when I'm driving, I'm trying to be like more mindful, like feel the breeze, look at like my surroundings, like that's a really nice tree, or, like look at them flowers, never noticed them before, or
rather than being like
smiling at people, spreading my happiness, you know, because that can make someone
yeah,
else
it really
feel
does
better.
change someone's day. You know, I remember if I used to be in work at home, and if someone was like nice to me, I'd notice it.
Yeah.
And it would have like, I'd maybe then take that on board, like take their energy, and then it would make me in a better mood.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Spread
and
that
all
way.
of these like things that we're doing, meditation, journal, reading, you know, breaking the negative thoughts, is like making me in a better mood, and then that way like I can spread, like you said, spread it to you, like spread it to people driving by on the road, like making better decisions for myself. And then when things do go wrong, or
you respond rather than react.
yeah,
And it's
and like
just
we're making this podcast now about it to
yeah.
help you listening.
It's just about making them things a habit, like doing them every day, and you will, at the start you won't see the benefits. Like I remember starting meditation, I was like, what's this like? But it was when I stopped doing it, I didn't feel anything at first. It was when I stopped doing it, after a while I felt like, okay, a bit more anxious, maybe I was a bit more in my head. So it really does make a difference. We look forward to the mornings, we're like buzzing to go for coffee,
And
to journal, to like do our gratitude list.
Yeah, and like I love meditating, and then even then when my mind is chatty and I get to sit down and meditate, and I'm just like, wow, it's like I said, like you have sore muscles and you get a massage, it's like that same feeling for me. And give yourself a break from your chatty mind. So we have a few questions that we got on Instagram. Thanks to everyone who asked.
Thanks to
everybody who asked my questions. No, we have a few questions that we're going to answer on Instagram. Just to make this a little
live Q&A.
More lighthearted at the end.
They're probably all Bali rated, to be fair.
Yeah,
so if you want to switch off now, bye.
Thanks for listening. No, someone said, what has been the biggest wake up call moving from Ireland to Bali? Paying rent.
Yeah. Fending for yourself.
Yeah, doing your own. Actually, we don't do our own laundry.
No,
because we drop it to a laundry.
What
has been the biggest wake up call?
Wake up call. I genuinely think, well, for me anyway, I've had more time to think and just face stuff that I've been pushing down for so long. That was really been my wake up call. But it's a good thing, because now I can deal with it instead of running away, which is what we just spoke about. We said in our last podcast anyway, like, you have more time to think here, because it's not typical 9 to 5, like hustle bustle.
Someone said, how do you change your mindset? But that's like what we just talked about, like breaking
the cycle
of your usual thing,
and then putting in all them strategies that we spoke about.
Someone said dealing with body issues, but again, like just having more compassion for yourself, which we've talked about. Yeah, that just hit the nail on the head in all these.
Yeah, sorry. Body image as well, just compassion, not comparing yourself to people. Comparison is a thief of joy, and I completely agree with that.
But also, I feel like comparison, is a thief of joy, but comparison is also the teacher of joy, because like I feel like you should never compare your life to someone like who's got more than you, or like you think they've got a better body because that's going to make you feel worse about what you have. But also you should compare your life to someone if they have less than you.
Maybe if you're like showing less, you're not being grateful for your life.
Yeah, do you know if you like
yeah.
aren't grateful for your car or aren't grateful for your house, like there's people out there who have to like, who don't like, are homeless, like, or you know, if you're not grateful for your car, like, well then what would your life be like without, like I spoke about earlier, what would your life be like without your car? Like, okay, well, like, you wouldn't be able to, for example, pick your kids up if you have kids from school. You couldn't pick your kids up from school, like you wouldn't see them for longer. Then what would it be like if you couldn't see your kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's also in that manner of like on Instagram, don't compare yourself to people, because honestly we've been there, done that. I used to compare myself to these girls on Instagram, and then I got to that level of whatever I was comparing myself to and was like, wow, I am miserable. But I'm not saying that they are, but it just taught me a lesson about comparison.
Someone else said, what is it like making friends and connections in Bali?
So easy.
It's so easy. Yeah, but also so amazing, because you get like people from all different backgrounds, all different mindsets, different walks of life, like inspiring people, like people that are like, you can see them like, wow, if they've done that, then I can do it. Like you hear about people's backstories and they're like, wow, I'm so lucky for the life I've had. Someone said best places in Bali to visit.
Uluwatu for beaches. Like the beaches are sick, they're unreal. Obviously, water is so clear.
Yeah, like the water in Uluwatu is a
sunsets are great.
Beautiful seaside place. Yeah. Ubud, of course, I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
big
to be honest, like I wasn't a massive fan of Ubud, but now you're really selling it to me, so I might go back and try so you can.
Ubud is just very like healing, like the energy in Ubud is like, so it's all like forest, so it's like greenery, there's waterfalls and like lakes, but there's no sea, but it's so grounding, like when you go up there, like you can just, it's just very peaceful.
You could walk around your feet if you wanted to, no one would even look at you twice, even like you know.
That's not even a like joke.
Yeah, it's real.
It's just very grounding, like just a very healing energy, and I can't explain it because obviously you can't really explain feelings. There's Canggu where we live, which is the busiest part of Bali right now. It's like where all the party life is.
Cafes are 10 out of 10.
Yeah, unreal. Loads of really good cafes. Like most people are here. It's kind of like living in your town. Yeah. Like it's just like a small town, so you see the same people a lot.
We used to think it was
nights
big.
Out. And even though now it's getting, you don't see as much the same faces because new faces are coming all the time. But during like the lockdown, like or when Bali was kind of closed off to tourists and international travelers, you seen like loads of people that you seen like the same people you know all the time on nights out.
And you could spot new people if they got in.
But yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. I think this is very kajumbly bumbly.
This is probably
today's podcast, but
yeah, we covered a few topics.
Yeah, and I think it will be
the mind really is just the overall.
Like the basis of the podcast was breaking negative thinking. We kind of covered a range of topics
within the one.
But yeah, we're not claiming to be like we're healed or I know I spent 1 week in Ubud and you know, but we can just based on our own experience.
This is what helps us. So
this is what helps us, and you know, a lot of humans have the same kind of. We're all human, so we have the same kind of strategies, and you know, mind. We all came from the ape.
We're getting into evolution now. Next podcast, history. Yeah. Stay tuned.
Biology. Every podcast we're learning. We're going with the flow. And we'll see you in the next podcast. Thank you for listening.
Bye. You say like so much.
Like
whoa. It's
like sorry about the amount I said like.
Do I just hit the right button?